Hi, I'm Laura Henry, and I am a craft dabbler, and I'm also an independent, close to my heart consultant. And today I have a really neat project for you. We're making two gratitude junk journals using toilet paper rolls and some junk mail. I'm going to show you how I made the binding for the toilet paper book, but I'm not going to show you how I decorated these because I used a kit and then cutouts from the Artistry cartridge with my Cricut. I'm not going to give you any measurements for anything because this is all dependent on the size of your toilet paper rolls, and those can vary. You need to decide how many pages you want in your journal. I used 6 toilet paper rolls for my journal. I flattened them and then I creased the edges with my bone folder. Next, we're going to make the strip that holds all of the toilet paper rolls together in the binding. And I'm cutting a piece of cardstock that matches the outside cover, and I'm cutting it the same width as the height of the toilet paper rolls. The outer cover will be larger than the toilet paper rolls by about 1/4 of an inch on the top and the bottom, and then I think it might be about a 1/2 an inch wider than the toilet paper rolls. So I'm using my Score Pal because it does a really nice job and it has those markings for me, and I'm scoring it twice at a 1/2 an inch a piece, and then I'm scoring it at 1/4 of an inch, and then I repeat. So it'll be scored at a 1/2 an inch, a 1/2 an inch, and then 1/4, and then I slide it over and line it up on that 1/2 an inch mark, and then so that I can easily score, 2 halves and then 1/4. And I'm going to repeat that so that I have 6 of those 1/2 inch sections with the score in between them. So what it's going to be is the 1/2 an inch fold. That will be the part where we glue the toilet paper roll, and then the 1/4 of an inch that's in between them will just be like a spacer that gives a little bit of space between the pages so that you can add embellishments to the page, and it gives it a little extra wiggle room. If you made them right up next to each other, then the book would be too crowded. So it's kind of an easement that we're making in that 1/4 of an inch score line. So if you have more pages than I am or less pages than I'm making, then you would make however many pages you're making, that's how many sets of 1/2 inch score lines you would want to make. Then I'm just trimming off the excess paper after that final score line. Next, I folded each section and I scored where the 1/2 inch mark is on each one first. And so they're all going in the same direction, and I just scored on that in between the two 1/2 inch pieces. And that's making a mountain fold. And then I'll flip over the piece of paper in a minute, and then I'm going to fold it back the other way on the back side where that little 1/4 of an inch fold is, going the other direction. And this is hard to explain without seeing it, which is why I included this clip in this project. But we're going to glue together those 1/2 inch pieces, and then those little 1/4 of inch pieces will all line up flat together. I'm using the liquid glass adhesive because it's very, very strong and permanent. So I'm just going to glue those two 1/2 inch pieces together, and that's my end piece. And I fast forwarded this because it just took a while to do this. But really, I just held each piece in place for just a moment, and it was just stuck on there solid. So you don't have to worry about this coming unglued with this liquid glass. Now I'll show you in a moment. See how it's laying. Those are the little tabs that it's going to go inside the toilet paper roll, and we'll glue those in, and that's what holds your pages together. And you see there's the flat, and that'll go against the outside cover of the book. and those are the tabs that stick up that we're going to glue inside the toilet paper rolls. And that's why it needs to be the exact size of the toilet paper roll or slightly smaller so that those fit inside the toilet paper roll. So there's no extra 1/4 of an inch on the outside edges. It begins and it ends with the 1/2 inch piece that's folded over. Now we're going to grab the toilet paper rolls and start gluing them on. So you can see that it is a snug fit, but I don't end up bending the paper. It really fits in there perfectly. And so I put it on. Actually, I was contemplating gluing it in there, but I decided to put the glue on the paper first. So I put a little bit of glue on both sides of each flap, and then I put the toilet paper roll right over the top of it, and then I pressed it very well with my fingers, and it did not take very long, but it stuck very well. And then I just do this to the rest of the flaps. After you have adhered all of the toilet paper rolls onto your binding, it is time to put the cover on the page. To get your dimensions for the cover of your book, you want to measure the width of your book times 2 plus the width of the spine of your binding, and I added a 1/2 an inch for the front cover and the back cover to be wider than the actual pages. And then I scored it where that binding will be. And um, this trimmer has a score blade on it, and it also has a cutting blade, which I removed that score blade because it kind of got in the way and it wouldn't allow me to cut all the way to the edge of my paper. And I finally, it's a fairly new trimmer to me, and so I finally figured that out, how to do that. And you can see there, I actually originally made that binding a little bit too wide. I thought it stuck out too long, the cover I mean. And so I trimmed off about a 1/2 an inch on it. So I decided a 1/2 an inch of an overhang is better. I think I had a full inch on it. So once you get your cover to the appropriate size, I just used that liquid glass again on that binding, and I'm gluing it on the inside. So the reason I use the same colored paper then is when you're opening that up and flipping through it, it all matches and it blends in. So you could use a different color paper, but I wanted that binding to match my cover. The next step is going to be to decorate our book, and I'm going to start with the cover. And using the Artistry cartridge and Close to My Heart and the Cricut, I designed the front cover, and I selected a wheat cluster and then those words, and then I selected them all and I flattened them to make a print and cut. And then on my printer I printed them and then I cut it to size to fit the front of my cover. And I used a cream colored cardstock, and now I'm using the Toffee ink and a finger dauber, and I'm going around the edges and just kind of antiquing the edges of it. In this project, I used several different types of adhesive. I used the liquid glass to adhere the binding inside the cover and to do the tabs, but I used the Tombow permanent tape runner to adhere the cover on the book, and then I used the dual action glue pen on some of my elements that I put on the pages to glue them down. I use 3D foam tape in almost all of my projects, but in this one I didn't need the added dimension because you can see there the book already doesn't quite want to close. To embellish the journals, I have used many things. I've used the Workshop Your Way Falling For You scrapbook kit, the Falling For You Card Making Stamp and Thin Cuts. I used Thankful For You Thin Cut, the Leaf Thin Cut, Feel So Blessed stamp set, and also I used several of the fall elements from the Artistry collection for the Cricut that you can purchase through Close to My Heart. So here I'm showing you some of the things that come in that scrapbook kit. There's some sequins. These are stickers. There's 2 sheets of stickers that come in that. I didn't use all of these. Actually, the big titles were too large for my book. And these are the different pattern papers that come in that. And then they have those journaling cards, and on the front one side it's horizontal and the other side they're vertical. And then it also comes with some cardstock, some solid colors of cardstock. And I used all of those solid pieces in the books, and then most of the pattern papers and some of the journal cards. So this is a flip through the toilet paper book once I had it embellished, and you see I made little tags that come out, and the number circles come from that Stamp of the Month Feel So Blessed stamp set, and I punched those out with a little circle hole punch and added them to the pages. And I just needed this to come out to 23 days because the Thanksgiving is on the 23rd of November, and I wanted to write something that I was thankful for each day in November before Thanksgiving or up to Thanksgiving. So those are front and back. The squirrel actually is not close to my heart, but he just needed to be in this book. So, and then those acorns did come with it. So the squirrel and the acorn went really well together. And, you know, in hindsight, I kind of wish I had made little bitty mats of white paper and put them underneath some of these embellishments to write what I'm thankful for. But I will probably make little tags and then put those on each page with what I'm thankful for. Those leaves are the thin cut leaf, and that is a sticker on that page. And that is part of the Feel So Blessed stamp set there, that feather that I fussy cut it out. And there's the binding. And next I'm going to show you just briefly the junk mail journal that I made. And this was a booklet that came to work, and it was going to go in the trash, but look how nice this little book is. It's already put together and stapled for me, and it's a nice size. So I thought that would make a great junk journal. So here this is, and all I did was use the papers and the stickers and all of the embellishments that I used on the toilet paper book, and I just used them on this journal. So I needed 23 pages, and so you can see on day 3 I made a flip page to add in day 4, and I also did that to some of the other days as well. And I just went with the basic colors that are in the background papers and made the embellishments match the colors that are on the page. And there you can see I used one of those journal cards and my flip page. And that's the back cover and the front cover with the book opened up. And so these are the stamp sets that I used, and these are still available. And this is Feel So Blessed. It was September Stamp of the Month, and this is no longer available, but I have several of them, and so while supplies last, you can get that stamp set for free if you place a $25 order on my Close to My Heart website, and then I will contact you to get your mailing address to send that stamp set to you.